This is a long time coming. A re-review of the Bandai movie monster series Godzilla KOTM set, featuring Mothra, Rodan, King Ghidorah, and Godzilla. I'm gonna be talking about the King series version of Godzilla from this set a little bit later down the line when I cover the entirety of the King of the Monsters series, since it seems that line is all but alive right now. But anyway, let's get started. Like the original review, we are going to be starting off with KOTM Mothra, since she is the smallest of the set, and I don't feel too much of my opinions on this figure has changed. Up first, we have KOTM Mothra's tag with a nice picture of Mothra right on the front. 65th anniversary 2019, Mothra 2019, Monsterverse logo. We have no cut-out portion on the back of the tag, which, I don't know. I know it's extremely minor, but why wouldn't you do that? They're Bandai Movie Monster Series figures. You might as well continue the trend, right? Here is the inside of the tag, sporting what is normally sported with Bandai Movie Monster Series releases. We must sleeve the MOOTH, yes! The detail on Mothra herself is okay. I would definitely say this is probably one of the weaker Movie Monster Series figures overall. Really love that Bandai even bothered to do the second layer of wings under here, which is really, really nice. And I guess you could say for what it is, KOTM Mothra is, yeah, just okay. I mean, I don't know how else Bandai really would have done KOTM Mothra, considering how spindly she is, but I definitely feel this could have been done a little bit better. I mean, it's nice that they painted her face and her crystal blue eyes, which look really, really nice, but this kind of looks like an amalgamation of chocolate bars just melted and seared together. The wings definitely came out a lot better. I love all the raised sections to it, and I really like how the decals on the wings were applied. They look really nice. They really, really do. And again, the detail on the wings is just fantastic, either up close or from far away. Just really, really cool stuff here. Don't know why the patterns weren't continued on the bottom of the wings and it's just the red, and these aren't following any mold lines, so the fact that the rest of this isn't present on the bottom, since it appears to just be printed on there, is confusing to say the least. So I have a feeling that KOTM Mothra was made the way she was so she'd be in scale with Godzilla, King Ghidorah, and Rodan. But you see, the funny thing there is, I don't think Godzilla and King Ghidorah are very much in scale with one another, and I don't think Godzilla and Rodan are very much in scale with one another. So, yeah. Can we get a redo on Mothra over here? Because even though my overall opinion on this figure is still rather positive, the details on the wings are really nice, but this body, I feel this body could have been done a lot better. So I'm torn when it comes to detail. Paint, I think I can give a solid star and feel pretty good about that. I'm going to be a hard ass on Mothra and give her a half a star in terms of detail. I do think it could have been done a little bit better. And at this point, screw being in scale with one another. You're a Bandai Movie Monster Series figure. Just make a bigger version of this and we'll be good. And since this figure doesn't have any articulation, no star for articulation. Moving on to Rhodey. And here we have a lovely image of the fire chicken on the front of the tag. Same dressings as with Mothra. Same little bit on the back of the tag with no cut out side to it. Standard same shadoozle on the inside of the tag. Now let's just toss him into a volcano where he'll sleep for hopefully not too many movies. So KOTM Rodan suffers from what pretty much every single Movie Monster Series Rodan suffers from. It's T-posing syndrome. I don't understand why they just didn't make a version of this guy crawling, because to be completely honest, I would have preferred that over this. But that's not to say that I am not impressed with the amazing amounts of detail that are on this figure. The wings especially are probably my favorite part of the figure, which is ironic because I was just bitching and moaning about them. But yes, the details coupled with the lava paint towards the edges over here is just so very nice. Don't know why these nails weren't painted, but they weren't, but the detail is excruciatingly good. And then we move on to the mid portion of Rodan, which looks good and a little just kind of weird. Maybe a little lazy on top of that. Not so much lazy in terms of the details, because the details are sublime, but just the way that Rodan was kind of scrunched into this very Twix-looking bar stance just really befuddles me. But just look at that detail. You kinda don't mind, but you kinda do mind at the same time. It looks so good, I wish it looked a little bit better, not in terms of detail, just the mold overall. And then I'm going to have the exact same song and dance with this wing as I did with the other one. Love the detail, love the lava trails, looking fantastic. Fingies, still no painty. The back of the wings are going to look just as magnificent. I love how it looks like cooled lava over here. Yet again, loving the orange and red trailing on the edges over here. Just really, really great stuff. And the same could yet again be said for the center portion of Rodan, this plethora of spikes and ridges and overlapping armor-plated skin. It just looks so friggin' good. I love how this figure looks, but I hate how it looks at the same time. A wise man once said, "Detail is divine, but when the mold looks like this, fuck your pizza." It is such a double-edged sword because this figure looks so good, but at the same time, it really doesn't. I feel like so much more could have been done with this figure other than just doing another T-posed Rodan. And I get my guy has to stand and everything, but you know what? Maybe this is all they really could have done. If the legs were free and separate pieces that could move, I imagine this guy would be falling over anyway, so... yeah. And now comes the head, which everybody just had a problem with, myself included, mostly because Rodan looked like an emotionally confused penguin. Of course I'm going to make the same joke. I'm remaking a review. I don't have a single original thought in my head right now. And while Rodan looks absolutely ridiculous from the front end, moving him to the side, oh man, this still looks so cool. My opinions on Rodan really haven't changed all that much. Derpy from the front, absolutely magnificent from the side, so angular and evil. Oh! This is another figure that I think could really use an updated release from Bandai, because had his head not been pointed downward, and we just got his head, you know, kind of like in a normal pose and everything, I feel like this guy would have been all the better. And the detail on Rodan's head and his spikes and everything all look fantastic. Even the detail on his beak over here, you can even see some teeth protruding on the sides. Yet again, great detail, just really hate the mold, the stance that he was put in. Seriously, what about this is intimidating? Nothing at all. Just friggin' lovely stuff going on here. Especially for the specific design of Rodan. This man deserved more, and both Bandai Movie Monster Series and Tamashii just did the man dirty. I don't own Sham, Rodan, and Mothra, but from everything that I've seen of those two, $100 was too much. And the $15, $14 I probably paid for this thing was a little too much. Paint is going to get a solid star, detail is going to get a solid star, but the mold, the pose, the stance, that's gonna get an X. I know I don't normally do that, but the amazing detail on this thing, the good enough paint for a Movie Monster Series release, I feel it all just deserved a lot more than T-posing half frisbee. And now we're moving on to King Ghidorah. Here's the front of his tag. Here's the back of his tag. And now we're going to lock King Ghidorah in the Toho Vault, where he will hopefully stay for a couple of movies and projects. I love King Ghidorah as much as the next person, but relax. Alright, so Movie Monster Series King Ghidorah. An actual brick of... mid, I would say. So when I first laid eyes on this figure, I was just absolutely entranced by the amazing detail, and honestly, not too much is going to change in that category. He has no articulation whatsoever, and I just don't get what Bandai feels towards Ghidorah that he doesn't need movable heads. And in this guy's case, he needed movable friggin' everything. He falls down on the regular. He's a friggin' shelf hog. I would have loved rotatable wings on this thing because god damn it, Bandai. Being a Movie Monster Series focused collector and near YouTube channel, I need space on my shelves. And every Ghidorah you've released over the past couple of years, save for the reissue of Mecha King Ghidorah, hasn't had rotatable wings, and it bums me out entirely. Fuck. So as we all know, King Ghidorah has 3 heads, and all 3 of the heads are mostly the friggin' same when it comes to detail. Paint may vary per head. King Ghidorah's got his horns, and yeah, I do believe he's got his mane still. I don't know when these figures went into production, but I guess they went into production when Ghidorah still had a mane in the movie. I mean, you're not going to tell me all those strands are just horns, right? I mean, Ghidorah only had a row of, what, 4 horns on each side of his head? So yeah, everything between these horns is just going to be the manes in my headcanon. Changed last minute, not much we can do. No points taken off, I promise. The details on the heads are very nice, and I really do love the addition of golden eyes on this figure. And the teeth are exactly what they needed to be, just white little triangles. The necks are nicely painted. I feel they highlight all of the amazing detail on Ghidorah's necks. I kinda just wish the paint ran all the way through, or at least a little bit throughout his chest. The detail on this figure is magnificent. But moving on to the wings, I just... man, did it really take like that much brain matter to just paint this little slither over here. Same for like these. I mean, these aren't as fully painted. This is probably just residue from this, but just the fact that it doesn't continue all the way up to the side of the wing over here. It's like, why? Was it really going to hurt your budget that much to just continue all the way up to the sides of the wings? I don't know. The details on the wings are very magnificent. They look very powerful, and I love that the scale detail for everything that isn't membrane is very nice and rather pronounced. I don't know, for as bummed out as I can be about the paint, the detail on this figure really does shine something fierce. So they took the time to paint Ghidorah's nails over here. They didn't paint anything on the wings, but I guess that's asking a little bit too much from Bandai at that point. The detail on the legs and the feet, though, very, very nice. The Ghidorah grundle is pretty cool looking. And then we move to the undersides of the tails, which will remain unpainted but nicely detailed either way. The clubbed ends of Ghidorah look pretty freaking cool. Wasn't expecting any paint on those because look at how tiny those are. I feel like Bandai just would have sprayed the tips and they would have looked ridiculous. Ridiculous and just none too convincing. But yeah, we've got some scales on the tops of the tails over here moving into Ghidorah's back. And still, the detail on Ghidorah's back is friggin' crazy, dude. It looks so good, and I'd even communicate that for the upper parts of the wings as well, the upside of the wings. Just really, really nice, really, really powerful looking, great detail everywhere you look. And the same could be said for the backs of the heads as well. It looks good. A little bit plain once these little spikes end over here, but for the most part, it's nice. So we get a little bit of paint over here on Ghidorah's backside, on both of his shoulders. And that's pretty much it when it comes to the back of the figure as a whole. I'm gonna be a stickler here. Detail is still going to get a solid star, but paint, even for a standard release of the Movie Monster series, this is extremely bare minimum. Ghidorah is going to get a half a star in terms of paint. I'd go with an X, but then I'd be a little bit of a hip-hop epitomacrite as to what I said with the Movie Monster series Megalon. Then I would look like I was just playing favorites, so I'm being fair, half a star. Realistically though, if I wanted to be a spiteful bitch, I would definitely give this guy a solid X in terms of paint. But let's talk about Godzilla now, shall we? Godzilla the Thriller be sporting a rather nice tag with all of the previous dressings both on the front and on the back, and I should have re-released this figure with a light repaint for the GVK line of releases. So Godzilla, not too much to be said here. I don't think too much different, to be completely honest. Absolutely love the metallic blue for the charged up dorsal fins over here. Hate how it stops right there at the tail. To see this all the way up to the tip of the tail would have been great, but it's Movie Monster series norm both back then and probably today, save for a few other releases, but I do really like the metallic blue on the dorsal fins. I especially love it on the eyes as well. That is just peak paint application. Boy, I wish I could say the same for the teeth, because what in the ever-loving Christ, Bandai? This is just terrible looking. Normally, I'm distracted by the amazing detail that Bandai put into this figure, because, I mean, goddamn, he looks fantastic, but these teeth! This side looks a little bit better, but even in saying that, the teeth just look bad. Mans look like he was bobbing for oatmeal packets. And believe it or not, that's going to be it in terms of paint, because the entirety of the figure is black, save for the eyes, the teeth, and the dorsal fins. Nothing on the nails, nothing on the underbelly, nothing anywhere. Ever at all. But the details on this figure alone is its saving grace, because the details everywhere just look magnificent. I mean, the armor plating on the thighs with the raised spikes and such, and the new feet detail. Oh boy, just fantastic detail. Even if Bandai are essentially just scanning the 3D models and turning those 3D models into figures, you gotta give them credit. It translated beautifully, near perfectly for Godzilla. Just not so much his grill. Oh man, the detail all along his body, his dorsal fins moving into his tail. Oh, it's so friggin' good, dude. Seriously, if Bandai had done the cool thing and just re-released this figure with a little bit of tan and green on him to kind of match how he looked in GVK, this probably would have been one of my favorite Godzilla figures to ever hit the Movie Monster series market. You know, it's really fucky when Bandai doesn't take the chance to re-release a Godzilla figure with new paint. Look at what they've been doing with friggin' Ghidorah. Do you guys hate the Monsterverse that much? But anyway, paint is going to get, I want to say a half a star because of the teeth, but the eyes and the dorsal fins look so good, so just know that I'm torn on giving it a solid star. You know what? I'll do this. Solid star for the eyes and dorsal fins, half a star for the teeth. There we go. Solid star in terms of the detail, and hey, we finally have articulation to talk about. The arms can go all the way around like so. Both sides, yes, you guessed it. Nothing at the tail, unfortunately, unless you break the glue seal, which I never do. And then the legs can go all the way around on both sides. Yeah. And that's pretty much it. Articulation's going to get a solid star, and now I need to take a root C from what I would normally do because I have a little bit of a comparison to make with this guy. Let's see what's going on. So a lot of people suspected that with the release of this figure, they really wouldn't need to get it just because it would be an updated 2014 mold. I'd have to disagree because there's a lot of major differences going on here, and not just with the dorsal fins. We got it in the legs, we got it in the body, we got it with the heads. The arms might be mostly the same, maybe a little bit more beefed up. The tails might be in the exact same positioning, but they're actually a little bit different in size. KOTM GOJI is a little bit more beefed up, while this one's a bit more on the skinny side. And unlike the NECA 2019 versus 2014 debacle, you can kind of see the major differences between all of the scales on these two. KOTM GOJI is definitely sporting more with a little bit more pronunciation on those vowels, while 2014 is a little bit less. And don't even try telling me that these are both the same mold in regards to the heads, because they are entirely friggin' different. Like, come on. See, 2014's paint job is kind of what I was expecting for a GVK Godzilla figure. Just very similar underbelly attention with some painted toenails and claws. Seriously, Bandai, that's some missed money on your part. But anyway, now we can move on to size comparisons, and I can go downstairs and get myself a drink so I can wet the whistle over here because my throat is drier than the Sahara Desert. Once the hype died down, my love for these things kind of went down with it. Granted, these aren't terrible figures, but the rush is wholly seen, especially in comparison with the 2014 Godzilla and Hawkmoto figures. While not perfect, they're still way better than these. Thankfully, Kong and Mechagodzilla would turn out a lot better for the GVK releases, but damn, man. This was a really big ouch. I mean, I understand why Mothra was so small and such, but Godzilla and King Ghidorah aren't exactly what I would call in scale with one another, same with Rodan, so a normal-sized Mothra figure would have been perfectly fine, and I feel like that would have turned out a lot better for the character. And come on, like, nothing at the legs, nothing at the tails or the heads for Ghidorah? I don't understand why they made him a brick. I don't know, guys and gals. This set really just kind of took a nosedive for me. That's all. Yes, not my favorite figures to this day, but still not bad ones. Bandai, I need the A game all the time. All starts with A. A game. All the time. A game all the time. I'm trying not to ask a lot from the Movie Monster series these days, because at the end of the day, they're vinyl kids' toys with tags that I like to collect obsessively. But I do expect a little bit more love and care, devotion, all that other stuff. Because with the way that these came out, it kind of put a weird taste in people's mouths, because it seemed like Bandai just doesn't care about the American designs. Then Mechagodzilla turned out as well as he did, and so did Kong, so I guess I can't be too much in that favor, but still kind of a little bit. But anyway, I have been ShinRobjira. I do so hope you all enjoyed this little retread that I did for however long it turned out. Hope you all have a lovely weekend. I will see you all next week with another video. Be safe, be healthy, be all the positive things in the book, but most importantly, be good to one another.